Shalom and welcome to 2 Minutes of Torah. This year is entitled Har Habyit number 122. The conclusion based on all the previous shiurim of Psak Halacha. So in all the previous shiurim we did not mention Har Habyit at all. The last 12, 13 shiurim on Psak Halacha and how it works. We discussed some basic halachot of Psak Halacha, and now we're going to apply it. But let's first summarize the main points. We learned that even a Sanhedrin, the great Sanhedrin of 71 Paskins, a person who himself is a major posek, can argue and hold by his position. Certainly he could be mahmir, more stringent than the Psak of the Sanhedrin, and it's questionable whether he could be leaning against the Sanhedrin. But that's all good until he makes his way over to the Sanhedrin to argue it out with them. According to Rav Zamnachem Goba, Vekam Tavalita is not just a statement that he goes up and he discusses it. He must go up and discuss with them, and then they argue it out. If he could win them over, great. If they hear his arguments and they say, this is Psak, he must follow the Psak. Fine. So when there's a Sanhedrin, and the rabbi goes, the posek goes to the Sanhedrin and argues it out with them, backs off once they don't budge. If there's a local Beit Din, then not so clear. If there's a local Beit Din in the town, does he even have to follow them or not? Of course, maybe only V'kam Tvalit to the Sanhedrin. If there is no psak in a Beit Din, you just have a lot of rabbis arguing over different issues. So you have a rule. Safeg d'oraita l'chumra. When you're in a biblical doubt, you have to be stringent. In a rabbinic doubt, you can be lenient. But the Rambam, when he quotes this in Hilchot Mamrim, says, Perak Aleph Halacha Hey, that Safek d'oraita had to be stringent. Safek d'Rabbanan, you could be lenient. Im lo yodeh, if you don't know where the halacha is heading, meaning if you're a posek and you have confidence, you don't have Safek, and you cannot be lenient if it's rabbinic halacha, and you don't have to be stringent if it's the d'oraita, biblical halacha, because you know you're not in Safek. And that's why Rabbi Lezer in the town, in his town, paskin about Mila. You could do preparatory acts, Mashiva Mila, and the town was fine following him. So let's put this all together. So go through a sugya like Har Habyit, where let's say the majority of rabbis around the world are stringent and for various reasons, not only one reason, but for various reasons say not to go up. As we learned in 100 shiurim so far on the topic, many reasons not to go. We don't know the right place. Even if you know the right place, not the right pshat in Jewish history, according to Rav Aviner, according to Rav Tzvi Yehuda, that it's right now we have to build up the Yam, and later on is the time for the Har Habyit, or those who say that we may know the right place, but we don't have the Tova prepared for the mikveh properly. Those that we know the right place, we know the Tova properly, but you might get it right, someone else will get it wrong, all different reasons. And another rabbi, let's take a giant, Rav Dov Lior, one of the great luminaries of the Merkaz HaRav world, the Gadol in his own right, holding in Shas and Poskim. He goes to the sugya, and against what many hold in Merkaz HaRav, and against what many in the Haredi, Hasidish, Yeshiva, Sephardic world hold, he's quite convinced. Not only can one go up, but one should go up. So can Rav Dov Lior paskin that way? And of course, we asked the same question about Rav Aaron Lichtenstein, who held that one could go up, but he wasn't so gung-ho like Rav Dov Lior, or Rav Nachum Rabinovitz, or Shiva Maledumim, and of course many other giants as well. Can they go ahead and paskin against the majority? So based on the dozen shiurim that we've seen so far, the answer is clearly yes. The only time they would have a problem, these giants, against arguing against the majority of Gedolim, assuming majority of Gedolim are against going up, which I think is a fair statement, the only time they'd have a problem is when Sanhedrin got together and paskined, you cannot go up to Har Habyit today. Then, till these rabbis get to the Sanhedrin, it could be that they would be considered to be acting in a leniency to go to Har Habyit when the rabbis at the Sanhedrin prohibited, so then they couldn't go, possibly, according to one way to read the Ramban. And then they have to go to the Sanhedrin and argue it out. So then, in that case, the rabbis would be restricted. We don't have a Sanhedrin, unfortunately. So we have a lot of rabbis around the world So is there any problem with these Gedolim going ahead and giving their own psak? And the answer clearly is no. They could and should give their own psak. And that's why there's no question over here like, oh my gosh, how do these giants give a psak? They're going against the Rov. Rov majority doesn't play a role when a posek on his own decides that this is the way it should be. He's not bound by Rov, as we've seen in the previous shiurim. We're going to continue with the ramifications of the rules of psak in the next year. Shalom.